Well, hello there. I'm Pete LaFrance, the Old Growler. Welcome to Meeting Expectations. What we do here is we take a look at a bottle of beer, or usually a can of beer, or sometimes a friend in fermentation drops by. So this is Meeting Expectations, Friend in Fermentation. What do we have today? We have mead from the Great Mead Hall and Brewing Company. Now, mead probably, I'm imagining it predates wine, because all you had to do with mead is mix it with water and let the yeast do their thing, and you were ready to go. You didn't have to stomp anything, you didn't have to roast anything. No, none of that. And even more interesting, and there are, I'm going to find a link to back this up, but I'm sure I have sources that when the Vikings were out, with the mead was what the Vikings drank. I mean, that was it. They didn't trust the water. I mean, but mead was given to them by some god or something. And what they did is they would ferment the honey in the water, and they would go on their voyages all the way out to what is now Canada. Well, when they saw dragons and spirits, and they would go like crazy. They were. And the reason they were was because the heather that grew massively all over the place, the pollen was gathered by the bees to make honey. Well, the honey made the alcohol, no problem. The yeast turned the sweet into alcohol, no problem. However, the pollen was psychotropic. So the Vikings were tripping. So that's the little story about mead and where you can go with a little honey and water. All right, today, what have we got? From Bangor, Michigan, Old Scrumpy Cyser, C-Y-S-E-R, and I'll talk about that later. Apple Honey Wine, Great Mead and Brewing Company. After 30 years in development, our Meadmaster discovered the perfect balance of Michigan apples and honey. Never disappointing, as each glass of this cyser boasts fresh, crisp apples and delicate notes of sweet, silky honey. Named after our partner and lifelong friend, we encourage you to open a bottle of Old Scrumpy with your friends and share good times and create great stories. In memory of Dan Decker. GMAG Old Scrumpy, it's got the barcode. This is batch B007, and that will be in the description box below. And let's see, what have we got? 500 milliliters. And no sulfites added. Government warning that I shouldn't operate machinery or be pregnant. And it has 14 degrees alcohol by volume. The good folks at the Great Mead Hall sent me this. I do appreciate it. So, what am I expecting? I'm expecting, also C-Y-S-E-R. Not cider, but cyser. Well, what that is it's a mead that is made with apple juice rather than water. So I'm expecting hard cider with a little bit of honey on top of it. Hard cider, kind of a sweet hard cider. Let's crack it open and see if it meets expectations. Well, there's no carbonation. We always use the same style of glass. That way, none of the things that we sample have a leg up as far as clarity or aromatics. There's no head on this, and there's no way I'm pouring the entire bottle in here. Okay. All beverages should be served at the right temperature, and the folks at the meadery have suggested that it be at room temperature. Room temperature is a little above cellar temperature. Cellar temperature is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's see, I'm going to be using one of the pop pens thermometers that were sent to me by the good folks at ThermoWorks. There is a link down below so that you can get more information. All right, let's crack this open and see what we've got. This says it's 64 degrees Fahrenheit. And It's a little high because I have had it out of the fridge for a while. So it might be a little warm, which means simply that the flavors will really develop. All right, now, most people do a tasting. What they do is they take a look at it, they sniff and sip. Well, what I do is I take a look at it, I sip first and then sniff. Why? Because sometimes the olfactory nerves can cheat and make the taste buds think that they're getting something that they're not. I'll let Master Sommelier Fred Dex explain it all to you. He does it a lot better than I do. Okay, let's take a look, and what we've got here is a beautiful, clear, and it's straw colored. It looks like a mead. Let's see if it tastes like a mead. Cheers. You'll notice I took 2 sips. First off, because the taste buds have no freaking idea what's coming. They don't. I've put some interesting stuff in my mouth, and they're afraid a lot. So it takes that first sip to wake them up and say, "Okay, guys, here's what's coming." And then the second sip came in, and now they're thinking. There's a lot of apple here underneath, but the honey kind of is taking the lead in this. And as I kind of move this around, you can see how this comes down in legs. Those are called legs in the wine world, and they're just called drippings in my world. But this has got a lot. It's sweet. The nosedive. Apple. Whoa, a lot of apple. That's like an apple orchard. That's great. Whoa, it's a condensed though. It's not a slice of apple and that's nice. No, this is taking the apple down and saying, "Hey, fella, I'm an apple." Wow. One more sip. Well, does Old Scrumpy Cider Apple Honey Wine from the Great Mead Hall and Brewing Company in Bangor, Michigan meet expectations? It certainly does. In fact, it might have exceeded. If you enjoy this program, please click on the subscribe button and the bell. That way you won't miss any of our presentations. A thumbs up would be great, and a comment, especially if you know something about mead, would be really appreciated. I'm Pete LaFrance, the Old Growler, hoping all of your beers meet expectations.